All right, let's jump right in, shall we? Today's deep dive is all about online courses, specifically how to create and sell them successfully.
And we've got a mountain of resources to help us navigate this exciting world. Articles, guides, even case studies of creators who've, well, kind of cracked the code.
So we're not just talking theory here, we're getting into the nitty-gritty, the practical stuff that you can actually use.
Exactly. We're going to unpack some actionable strategies, uncover some surprising trends, and maybe even bust a few myths along the way.
Sounds like a plan. But before we get ahead of ourselves, let's set the stage. What's the big picture here? Why are online courses such a hot topic these days?
Well, for starters, the potential is huge. It's a multi-billion-dollar industry, and it's only growing.
So there's definitely money to be made, but I imagine it's not as simple as just throwing some content together and watching the cash roll in.
You got it. And that's actually one of the things that jumped out at me from the research. One source even went so far as to claim that we're witnessing the death of the traditional online course.
Whoa, hold on. The death of online courses. Isn't that a bit dramatic?
It might sound that way, but it highlights a crucial shift in the landscape. The days of just creating a one-off course and hoping people buy it are fading.
Okay, I'm intrigued. Tell me more.
It's all about sustainability. Instead of chasing that initial sale, the real magic happens when you build a business around your expertise.
So it's not just about creating a course, it's about creating a learning ecosystem.
Precisely. Think about it. You launch a course, price it at, let's say, $100. Maybe you get a few hundred students. Awesome. But then what? You're constantly hunting for new customers. Your content might become outdated. And honestly, the completion rates for self-paced courses, well, they're not great.
So it's kind of like a sugar rush followed by a crash. You make some initial sales, but then it fizzles out.
Exactly. And that's where membership models come into play. This is what several sources were really pushing.
Okay, so more like a Netflix for learning. You pay a recurring fee for access to a whole library of content.
Exactly. It's a win-win. You get predictable income and build a deeper relationship with your audience.
And they get ongoing value, a sense of community, and they're not just left hanging after they finish that initial course.
Right. And speaking of community, there was this fascinating case study about Justin Simon. He's a marketer who had a $199 course on content repurposing.
Oh yeah, I remember reading about him. He ended up transforming that course into a thriving membership community, right?
You got it. Instead of just selling a one-time product, he created a space where people could connect, learn together, and get ongoing support.
So he added webinars, forums, maybe even some live Q&As.
All of that. And it allowed him to charge more for greater value and build those all-important long-term relationships.
I'm starting to see the bigger picture here, but let's rewind a bit. For someone just starting out, where do they even begin when choosing a course topic?
It all starts with that sweet spot, the intersection between your passions, your expertise, and what your audience actually wants.
Because it's not just about what you know, it's about meeting a need in the market.
Exactly. One source really hammered that point home, and sometimes those needs can be surprisingly specific,
Absolutely. One example that really stuck with me was GUE.TV, a platform for, of all things, scuba divers.
Oh, interesting. What kind of courses do they offer? Underwater basket weaving?
Not quite, haha. They're attracting a dedicated following with courses on things like diving in high-flow caves. It's super niche, but to their target audience, it's gold.
Exactly. What might seem niche to outsiders could be exactly what your ideal customer is craving. Which brings us to our next crucial step. Defining your target audience. Not all fans are created equal, are they?
Definitely not. You've got those casual fans who might consume your free content, but they're not necessarily ready to buy. Then you have those advocate fans, they're more engaged, they follow your work, and occasionally make a purchase.
And then there are the true fans, the ones who are all in.
Your ride or die followers, the ones who pre-order your book before they've even read the blurb.
Exactly. They're the ones who are most likely to invest in your courses, really engage with the material, and rave about it to their friends.
So, actionable tip for our listeners. Analyze your existing audience. Who are your most enthusiastic followers? What questions are they asking? What challenges are they facing? This is invaluable information.
Maybe even consider sending out a survey or a form to gather specific feedback. Data is your friend.
I love that idea.
Oh.
Once you've got your target audience and course topic locked in, it's time to start mapping out your content. Think of it like building a learning journey for your students.
Oh, I like that analogy. So where do we start?
Well, one of the sources we looked at had a brilliant suggestion. Working backward. Imagine your student has crossed the finish line. They've achieved the desired outcome of your course.
Okay, so they're happy, confident, and equipped with new skills. Got it.
Exactly. Now think about the steps they took to get there. What knowledge did they need? What skills did they develop? What challenges did they overcome? By reverse engineering this process, you create a clear roadmap for your content.
That's such a practical tip. It ensures you're delivering real, tangible value to your students and not just throwing random information at them.
Exactly. And speaking of delivering value, that brings us to another crucial piece of the puzzle: choosing the right course hosting platform.
Right, because even the most brilliant content won't sell itself if it's buried on a clunky platform.
And there are tons of options out there, each with its own pros and cons. The source material did a deep dive into 3 popular platforms: Uscreen, Thinkific, and Mighty Networks.
That section was super helpful. It broke down the key factors to consider, things like ease of use, features, pricing, customization options. It really covered everything.
And the big takeaway there is to choose a platform that aligns with your specific needs and goals. Don't just blindly follow the hype.
So another actionable tip for our listeners: don't just jump on the most popular platform. Take the time to assess your budget, technical skills, and what features are most important to you.
Exactly. And remember, these platforms are constantly evolving. What works for someone else today might not be the best fit for you tomorrow. So do your research and choose wisely.
Wise words. But we're just getting started. In part 2, we'll dive into creating your course content, figuring out your pricing strategy, and exploring how to add massive value with community.
Stay tuned, folks, because things are about to get even more interesting. All right, welcome back to the deep dive. Last time we left off talking about those course hosting platforms.
Right, making sure your amazing content has a good home, a place to shine, technologically speaking.
Exactly. But let's get down to brass tacks. How do you actually price your course? I imagine that's a bit of a head scratcher.
It can be. You want to value your expertise, right? But not scare potential students away with a price tag that makes them gulp.
It's all about finding that balance, that sweet spot. And one of our sources actually offered a pretty neat tool for this, a course pricing calculator, I think it was called.
Oh, yeah, that was helpful. It took into account all sorts of factors, didn't it?
It did. Your costs, your target revenue, audience size, even things like conversion rates. I remember feeling like, whoa, this is getting serious.
Haha, yeah. Conversion rates, just to refresh, it's basically how many people who see your course actually end up buying it.
Right, like out of 100 people who land on your page, how many actually hit that enroll button? Makes sense.
Exactly. So the calculator crunches all those numbers and spits out a suggested price, takes some of the guesswork out of it.
Data-driven decisions, always a good thing. But one thing that stood out from the source material was that sometimes a single price
Well, it doesn't always work, especially with online courses.
Exactly. They gave this cool example of Filmmakers Academy. They offer both individual master classes at a fixed price, but also a full subscription, for access to everything.
Oh, yeah, that's smart. It's
Yeah.
like offering a tasting menu, A&D, and all-you-can-eat buffet, cater to different needs.
Love that analogy. But even with a killer course and the perfect price, there's still more to it, right?
Mm-hmm.
How do you stand out in such a crowded market?
That's where building a community around your course becomes key, really key.
But this is where it gets really interesting. It's not just about information anymore. It's about a learning experience, a shared journey.
Think about it. When students feel connected, not just to you, the instructor, but to each other, they're going to be way more motivated. They're going to finish the course, and they're going to tell their friends about it.
It's not just a course anymore. It's like a movement,
Exactly. And some of the examples in the source material were fantastic. Like MBODY, that fitness platform, their live chat feature became this central hub for their members.
Instead of just passively watching workout videos, people are cheering each other on, sharing progress. It's real-time support.
That creates accountability, a sense of belonging. It keeps people coming back, And then that community becomes a marketing powerhouse too. All those testimonials, challenge results, it spreads organically.
It's like the best kind of word-of-mouth marketing.
Yeah.
So for our listeners out there, think about how you can foster that kind of community vibe around your course.
Could be a Facebook group, a forum, regular Q&A sessions, so many options.
And don't be shy about showcasing that community, in your marketing materials. People are drawn to that sense of belonging, knowing they'll be part of something.
Now, with our course created, our price set, our community buzzing, let's talk about the actual content, the recording process. This is where things come to life.
Lights, camera, action. But seriously, where do we even start? Is it just hit record and hope for the best?
Not quite. One source really emphasized quality over quantity. Don't feel like you need to create hours and hours of content. It can be overwhelming.
Right, better to have a few really polished, engaging modules than a ton of, rambling, unedited videos.
Absolutely. What are the key takeaways you want students to walk away with? Focus on those nuggets of wisdom.
And then deliver them in a way that's clear, engaging, and keeps people coming back for more.
The source material had some great tips on structuring those modules. One was starting with a clear learning objective.
So right at the beginning, you tell your students, okay, here's what you're going to learn in this module, and here's why it matters.
Exactly. It sets the stage, helps them focus, then break down the information into bite-sized pieces, make it digestible, use visuals, stories, examples, anything to keep it interesting.
And don't forget to let your personality shine through. People connect with authenticity.
Right. Show your passion, share your stories. Don't be afraid to be yourself. Then, once you've recorded those modules, it's time to hit that publish button and release your course into the wild.
Launch day, the moment we've all been waiting for.
Almost. But before we get to the champagne popping, there's one more step we got to cover. Building a sales funnel.
Okay, confession time. I've heard that term thrown around a lot, but I'm not 100% sure what it means.
No worries. Think of it like a roadmap guiding potential students from, what's this, to actually enrolling in your course.
So it's not just about creating a sales page and hoping people stumble upon it.
Nope. It's strategic. It's about moving people through stages, nurturing their interest and eventually leading them to a purchase.
I'm starting to see the picture. So what are the key stages of this funnel?
One of the sources broke it down into 4. Awareness, interest, decision, and then action.
Walk me through it.
So awareness is getting your course in front of the right eyeballs. Social media, blog posts, guest appearances, even some paid advertising.
Got it. Creating some buzz, getting people curious.
Then comes interest. You're offering value, showcasing your expertise, maybe a free webinar, a downloadable guide.
Give them a taste of what's to come. Build that trust.
Precisely. Then decision time. They're thinking about it, but might need a nudge. Testimonials, case studies, money-back guarantees can really help here.
Addressing their concerns, showing them they're in good hands.
Exactly. And then action. They hit that enroll button. Boom, sale made.
Woohoo. Celebration time. But the journey doesn't end there, does it?
Not at all. Building a successful online course, it's not a set it and forget it kind of thing. It's about engaging with your students, getting feedback, making improvements.
So what happens after launch day is just as important as everything that came before it.
Absolutely. And one of the most valuable things you can do is gather student feedback. This stuff is gold.
Okay, so how do we go about getting this feedback?
Well, the source material had some great suggestions. Surveys are always good, a dedicated feedback forum. You could even hop on calls with some students and chat directly.
And don't underestimate the power of, those unsolicited emails or comments you get. Sometimes those are the most valuable.
Totally. Pay attention to what your students are saying. What are they struggling with? What are their favorite parts? This helps you make your course the best it can be.
All right, welcome back for the final part of our deep dive. We've covered a ton of ground, from picking a topic to getting feedback, but there's still more.
Oh yeah, we're not done yet. Launching your course is just the beginning. Remember those testimonials we talked about? Those are crucial.
Yes, social proof. Those glowing reviews that can really make a difference.
Exactly. Think about it. Someone's on the fence about buying your course, then they see a rave review from a past student. That can be the push they need.
Like a friend vouching for you. Instant credibility boost.
Right. So how do we get these testimonials? One source suggested being proactive, Don't just wait for them to appear in your inbox.
So reach out to your students directly, maybe a survey or an email asking for their thoughts.
Exactly. And be specific. Don't just say, hey, did you like the course? Ask questions that'll get you those detailed, impactful responses.
What was your biggest takeaway? Or how has this course helped you reach your goals? Something like that.
You got it. Those kinds of questions give you quotes that are specific, relatable, and persuasive. But of course, always get permission before sharing them publicly.
Of course. Got to respect their privacy. Now, once you've got those awesome testimonials, it's marketing time. Time to spread the word.
This is where everything comes together. All the pieces of the puzzle. We've got the course, the pricing, the community, those testimonials. Now let's get it out there.
And the source material had, a whole list of marketing tactics. Social media, email, webinars, guest blogging, so many options.
It can feel overwhelming, I know. But start with where your target audience hangs out, Focus your energy there.
If they're on Instagram, double down on Instagram. If it's LinkedIn, prioritize that. Makes sense.
Right. And don't underestimate organic reach. Create valuable content that resonates with your audience. Share it consistently. Blog posts, videos, infographics, you name it.
Be helpful, be an expert, and people will take notice.
Exactly. And when you are promoting your course, don't just talk about how great it is. Focus on the benefits. What problems are you solving? What goals will your students achieve?
Sell the transformation, not just the product itself.
You got it. And remember those testimonials. Sprinkle those throughout your marketing materials. Instant trust builder.
Okay, so we've launched, we're gathering feedback, we're marketing. What now?
Now, the fun part continues. It's all about iterating, refining, making your course even better.
So it's not just a set it and forget it situation. You're constantly tweaking and improving.
Right. The online course landscape is always changing. Your course has to change with it. Pay attention to that student feedback. Track your metrics. Be willing to adapt.
One source suggested setting aside time each month to review and update. Sounds like a good habit to get into.
Definitely. Maybe you need to update content, add a new module, tweak your pricing. The key is to stay flexible, keep meeting the needs of your audience.
And in the midst of all the marketing and the tweaking, it's important to remember why we're doing this in the first place, right?
Absolutely. You have a passion, you have knowledge, you have the power to make a difference in people's lives. It's about sharing your gifts with the world.
Well said. This has been an incredible deep dive. So much valuable information.
If you're ready to create and sell your own online course, I think we've given you a pretty solid roadmap to get started.
We've covered a ton, but there's always more to learn. If you're hungry for more, check out the show notes. We've got links to all the resources we talked about.
And until next time, keep learning, keep growing, and keep diving deep.
We'll see you on the next episode.